back, everyone. We're just waiting on folks to join in from the discussions. And very soon we'll do our bit of a closing. It has been one abundant and delightful day. And we're not finished yet. Still a few things to enjoy before we call it an end. So for me, it has been a tremendously valuable day. We benefited from Jen and Ashley giving us some very practical ideas on bolstering our courage and caring and recognizing how profoundly people and places matter. There was so much more to unpack in their work as well, and they were stellar. Could have listened to them longer. Shazia shared very compelling stories of how connectivity really matters in people's lives. It changes lives. It affects health and culture, economics and well-being. And I think Shazia put out a challenge to us. She's inviting us to educate ourselves about the spectrum licensing. And she encourages us to advocate for proper levels of service, and that those who hold the licenses should be meeting a standard that's in keeping with the quality of life in rural locations. If we were together in a room, we'd all be hooting and hollering now to call out to Heather and to Kyle and the team of authors and those who reviewed around the state of rural Canada. What a great product that is, and such superb work. I wish you could hear Heather and Kyle, the enthusiasm in the room for this really profound collection. And in it, we see the reiteration of the capacity of rural people to shape this story of success, and also to be influential in the powers of economic, social, and environmental resilience, restoration, and revitalization. And again, another call to action came from this group. Everybody's encouraged to download at crrf.ca/SORC, share the document, and read the document. Lots of good material, beautiful photos. It's an excellent piece of work. We saw from Mariette, she offered a tremendously animated session on the World Trade Center. And now we know the power of leveraging and really relishing jumping frogs, visiting monarchs, and for those of us who are commoners, the importance of public collaboration. She brought us great stories of success and being courageous and not being afraid, linking back to much of what Jen and Ashley had been talking about as well. So I had the privilege of attending today 4 of the sessions. And of course, I didn't get to all of them. So I attended room 2 in the first session on community and collaboration. And here we were listening to great stories about the power of resilience. And this was illustrated again and again by the presenters on rural stories across Canada, talking about how we could leverage assets to strengthen our capacity building around questions related to shelter and homelessness, long-term care, and community formation, in the inclusion of newcomers, and many great questions from participants about collaboration. The next session I was at was on infrastructure and environment. And here there was profound questions raised. And really, I'm going to just highlight the 2 questions and leave it to our imagination to think about how we might answer them. How do we as researchers help to address gaps in communities, in the infrastructure? And what does infrastructure look like when it embeds elements of environment, social, and economic considerations? The opportunity for us to be thinking beyond our own disciplines or our own unique area of work, but expanding that to include other specialties so that we can bridge gaps and really be innovative together. In the panel discussions I attended in room 3, walking through lightly leadership in the nonprofit sector in the 21st century. Also a riveting discussion, and I'm sorry I didn't get to participate in the whole discussion, but listening to comments about leadership in rural creativity, how core leadership is to creativity, how central it is to prosperity. And many of the examples that came up in that room of walking through lightly also relate to the other room I was in on advancing rural policy through horizontal partnerships. And in room 3, they were talking about rural talks to rural. Many of us would have participated in November last year of great online dialogue on rural talks to rural. And the end of the lane conversations. The virtual art galleries, many people coming together and creating platforms and virtual viewing spaces where people can enjoy art, purchase art, and even rent art. Social innovation hubs were talked about in the walking through lightly, learning commons, and a community network. And all 3 of those really are a good part of what the horizontal partnerships also is striving to provide their members and their participants. And underlying all of the work in the nonprofit is a strong spirit of social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, and value addition all along the work that people are contributing. And then the advancing rural policy through horizontal partnerships. Here we heard about connecting government at all levels. And participants in the dialogue were really reflecting on how refreshing it was to meet with colleagues who work on rural topics as a regular part of their activity. And it's not just something on the side of their desks. There was great gains found in joining in these dialogues. There was a tremendous amount of time saved by highlighting events in this circle when specialists bring to the table their knowledge of what's happening in communities. Sharing of examples also helps to reduce repetition or redundancy, and it enables people to connect working in different departments at different levels of government. And people personally can then be able to chat with each other more and have much more depth of exchange. Information sharing and dissemination was also an important piece that came out of these horizontal partnerships. So the colleagues in that call also were talking about the importance of bridging sectors and ensuring that we substantiate our connections back to our colleagues. So if you're in a dialogue with academics and practitioners, as well as other government officials from different levels of government, you can bring back those success stories and help make your case for moving ahead with issues. So in a lot of ways, all of these forums, all of the sessions, and again, I'm sorry I didn't get to attend the other ones, are really talking about how we can leverage our assets together, multiply our impact, and really amplify the message of right to rural, enjoyment in rural, and investing in rural. So I think that for me are some of the key takeaways from today. I'm reminding everyone to take time to find the State of Rural Canada 2021 report at SURF website, and there you can browse and see other good materials. And I also want to acknowledge TELUS's support in being our presenting conference sponsor and Shazia's superb personal stories that she was sharing. And I remind you to tune into the webinar that Shazia will be hosting. So you'll want to do that by registering online to the Creating Inclusive Economies newsletter to keep watch of the schedule and additional conference updates about the spring program. And I would thank all of our presenters today, all the moderators, all who have helped bring this together at UMANES, at CEDEC, at SURF, for having joined with us. And that room, and there is a connection for you, a link in the conference program. If you go down the conference program on Umanes, you will see at the end of today the talk of the new research forum. There's a link. You can just click right on that and it'll bring you into the room where Patrick will be able to guide around discussions with new researchers. You can engage in networking. You can be talking about the rural economy, how you might be maximizing opportunities for the spring conference, or maybe even use this platform, Umanes, which we're going to have access to for another session, some side conversations. So I encourage you to keep networking, keep connecting during the conference. There's many features in Umanes that some may not have tapped into yet, like the matching service, kind of like a dating service for you. And you can enjoy having a cocktail with somebody perhaps tomorrow afternoon. So take a look at Umanes, enjoy the time, and we really encourage you to also tag events on Twitter by the hashtag Inclusive Economies 2021 and Economy Inclusive 2021. And we will gather again tomorrow, share more stories, and bid everyone a thank you and a good evening. And the new Researchers Forum, that is going to be starting right after this, so you can go right over to that link. Any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or if anyone else wants to chime in, feel free. But on my end, I say thanks to everyone. Thanks to Kyle for being such a great MC, and for my co-host, John, who will be starting us off together in the morning. So see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a delightful day. Take good care.